Okay, so welcome to the session called Strategic Thinking and Problem Solving for EB Outgoing and EB Current on day 3. The session objectives that we defined is that EB Current understand what it means to be in the EB, that EB Current also understands that they need to act as one EB to reach the objectives for the entire LC. And we want to give the EB Outgoing the opportunity to share their final words and final experiences to the EB Current. So how is this connected to the rest of the sessions? Well, previously the EB current will get all the tools and behaviors to make Summer Peak in place, while the EB outgoing will have lead sessions and reflection. And after this session, the EBs will have, together with the LC coach, a session in which they can determine the action plan to make Summer Peak happen. So what do we want to achieve? We want especially the EB current, but also the EB old, to be collaborative and to have a team spirit such that they will help each other during the session, but also after. So at the start of the session, since it's going to take place on day 3, we want to do a quick icebreaker to bring up the energy and to get everything flowing. Then obviously a quick introduction of us as the fasties of this session and what this session will be about. Then the first activity that we want to have them do is a negotiation game in which the EB outgoing and EB current of each entity need to sit together, and they need to determine where to put several landmarks, attractions, buildings in a new built town. So each of the buildings, they get some requirements of where they need to position this and to which buildings they need to be proximate and to which not. And there will be some predetermined buildings in this town as well. They will get allocated 9 buildings, but there's only 7 spots, so they need to collectively decide which 2 buildings to eliminate, and then where to put the 7 remaining buildings. After 50 minutes, we want to change the dynamics of the game by introducing a 10th building that we want to make very important regarding stakeholders that are involved in this 10th building, but also make it a little bit more difficult to place this one among the other ones. And this reflects being in the EB because you need to be adjustive to changes, and you need to really to think about which stakeholders are important, so which ones are most important to please. And after the game, which the outcome is not that important, we want to give especially the EB outgoing the opportunity to share with the EB current how this is related to being in the EB and what it means and how they overcame these kind of challenges. Then the second game is a bridge game in which all EB outgoing and EB current are competing to make the cheapest bridge actually. So they get a bunch of materials, which is just sheets of A4 paper and paper clips, and with these materials they need to build a bridge that needs to meet certain requirements in terms of height and width, and they need to make it as cheap as possible. And every minute that they're building, every paper clip they're using, and every sheet of paper costs money, and the cheapest bridge obviously wins if they meet the requirements, because if they don't, then they get some penalties and etc. So this reflects being in the EB, since you need to work together. You need to think before you act, but you also cannot think too long, and that you sometimes need to compromise to each other. So this is mainly about strategic thinking, and also after this game we want to have the EBs reflecting on how did it go, but also how does this relate to being in the EB. Then, as the final part of this session, we want to give everyone room to share these final words, to give some final advices to the EB current, and to make sure that they will have the best term imaginable, and that they can really start kicking off Summer Peak, especially by creating the action plans that will be done in the next session.